Hi everyone, and welcome to Steve's Stitchy Spot, Flosstube number 6. My name is Steve, your host, and today is Monday, July 7th, 2025. This is my June 2025 recap coming out to you at the beginning of July. And I want to show you the progress that I've made on my WIPs, my works in progress, no finished objects, as I tend to work on big projects that are going to take quite some time. But I do have some projects to show, some progress, and I also am going to be doing a giveaway, an Adopt a WIP, here later on in the episode, and I'll be talking about a couple of featured Flosstubers, as well as showing you some of the new cross-stitch and needlework related items that we brought into our stores. So for those of you that are new, thank you so much for giving this video a shot. As I said, my name is Steve. My partner, Andy, and myself are the owners of Leading Men Fiber Arts, specializing in hand-dyed yarn, but also we have our own studio and storefront here on our town square in Clinton, Illinois, a little small town in central Illinois. And so we are slowly expanding our needlework and cross-stitch offerings here in our storefront. And so I have some new kits as well as some tools and accessories that we have just uploaded into the online shop, which is available to you as well as here in person in the storefront. So I had a decently good stitchy month for me. And we haven't been doing as much traveling. Again, if you're interested in more life stuff, my other crafts, reading, and TV/movies, I highly recommend checking out the Dramatic Knits podcast, which will be coming out shortly after this one. I keep this just to the stitching. Everything else I put into my normal Dramatic Knits podcast. So thank you so much. If you have not already, please subscribe, click the like button, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos, which is usually going to be around the first week of each month. I record once a month. Seems to be a good schedule for me. So, in the month of June, or since I've last recorded, I have stitched a total of 4,473 stitches, which is better than May. May, I was looking at little over 3,700. So I did about 700 more stitches on that. Not as good as April though. April was a really good stitchy month for me. I got a lot of stitches in, but I had some really good projects to work on this past month. So the first project I'm going to show you is my 2020 Pandemic Sampler by sarcygurl. And I'm stitching this on 40 count linen in Jamie's Kilt by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I am stitching this using the Mrs. Sadis Silks pack conversion that I purchased from them from Spain shortly after the pattern came out, and then they sat for forever. I do love stitching with them. I was watching another Flosstuber yesterday that I came across that I'm gonna be raving about and just mind blown, but they were stitching a huge piece out of Mrs. Sadis Silks, and they were saying how they weren't color or light fast, and so her silks were sitting in the sun and they got quite faded and color changed. So luckily I don't foresee myself like keeping my stitching in the sun. It doesn't stay in the sun when it's on the Q-snap in my frame, but I did work on this for 7 days and I got 962 stitches in this on that week, and I am stitching this 1/2. So here's half of the fabric. And this was the last project I was working on last video. So I think I finished out this bird. I know I started the top of the house, and you could see there the variegated roof there. I think I filled in some of this down here and maybe just a little bit of the border. I think I did that flower as well. It's been almost a month, so this one has not been completely fresh in my brain, but it is going. I really am enjoying seeing some of the hand-dyed variegated flosses playing out in the roof. I think it looks very much like cool asphalt or shingle tiling. So working on that, enjoying it. No major kerfluffles that I can bring to mind to let you know of. As I've talked about before, I've got a couple of counting errors in the border from the first couple times I stitched on it, but I'm leaving it in there. Somebody did give me the nice comment last episode about ripping out stitching. You want to do it from the back of the work. I haven't done that yet, but the backs of my works, I carry my threads a lot. I do stitching for fun. I am not about to be the most efficient or professional stitcher out there. So sometimes coming from the back, it's a hot mess back there. And because if I get a knot sometimes and I can't get it out, I just pull it to the fabric and leave the excess in the back. I know, sacrilege. Some of you are clutching your pearls right now, I'm sure. But we all have different stitching methods and we all look for different things to get out of stitching, which is something that I'm quickly realizing about myself, is that if it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it, which is hard for me sometimes. Anyway, the next project that I worked on that came up on my wheel, I do spin and change out every week on my projects, was A Year at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I am stitching this on a 40 count Newcastle linen in doubloon by Picture This Plus. I'm using the DMCs for this and I'm stitching this 1/2. I did get a total of 793 stitches in this and I did work on it for 5 days. I had some travel in there with work. But I did get January's block completed, so I'm so excited. Again, this is a big old fat half of fabric, but I'll just show you what I did get completed. I started the border on the February block, but the January block is done and in the books. It feels so good to have a mini finish on this project. So I did finish out the lettering and the woman's dress and the top portion of her. That's all that I had to finish there. And then I started and got over half the border done on February's block. So enjoying this. It is kind of to me, it feels like a tighter weave than some of the other 40 counts that I've been stitching on. But that's just getting used to different fabric types and counts. So that was A Year at Hawk Run Hollow. The next project I spun on my wheel was A New Start. So I have all of the projects that are kitted up, meaning I have the floss and the fabric ready and the pattern ready to go. And I have those on a separate wheel. So when it pulled New Start, I spun my kitted wheel and I selected Starry Night by Riolis. This was a kit that I picked up probably on clearance at Hobby Lobby back when I used to shop there many moons ago, and I was like, someday. Well, it picked it, so I started it. Now, I usually do like to start in the upper top left corner and work my way there. It's just, and from there, that's just what I enjoy. However, since I am stitching this using the kit Ada, it's a 14 count white Ada, and I'm using the kit threads, which I believe are like a wool acrylic blend. They're fuzzier. They're kind of fun to stitch with. And I'm doing this 2/1, of course, because it's on 14 count. I did start in the center with one thread of color and I followed those stitches up. I went all the way up to the top and then I moved over to the top left corner. And from there, now I know where I'm placed. I know where my margins are, and I can start doing the typewriter method from the top left corner. So I did get a total of 754 stitches in on this for 7 days. Now this is a paper pattern, but because it is full coverage, and I put it into notions, I know how many stitches based off the stitch count, how wide and tall it is. I can calculate just by timesing those two numbers together to know where I stand. So I've inserted a picture, but this is the front of the kit. And here's where the kit threads come packaged. They're very nice. I can pull off as much as I want. And it is one thread, so I can just pull off what I want. That's a good loop start length for me for the 14th count, and I get to go to town and then pull my next one. So I do enjoy the way their flosses are organized in their kits. So what does it look like with those 754 stitches? So here is where I've gotten. So like I said, I did start in the middle. I followed up, over, all the way over. And then I started filling in up here in the top left corner. So it's going decently well. I was worried about the crunchy Ada. That was not a problem. But because I have a blank canvas to work on, it's going great for me. So realizing I don't love confetti or full coverage stitching. I love making a picture, like a full-on picture. I just have to get in the right mindset for me. It's not my Zen stitching. I do have to do a little bit more thinking of that. Sorry, forgot to turn off my notifications and I got a missed call, which if you do not know this, I have a setting on my phone where if you are not in my contacts, my phone will not ring because I get so much spam phone calls and texts and voicemails. I have that setting. It saves me so much time wasting answering the phone and being upset that it's an automated telemarketer. All right, so that was my new start that got rolled this month. And then last but not least, the thing I've been working on the last week plus, I actually got 9 days on this because I usually switch out on Sundays, but because I knew I was recording today, I did not switch out yesterday. I kept working on this. I got almost 500 stitches in on this yesterday, and then I threw a length of floss into it this morning as well. And that is my oldie but goodie, The Fruits of Plenty by Modern Folk Embroidery. I have a feeling I will be kitting up a lot of Modern Folk Embroidery in the future. This is just my Zen stitching. I love monochromatic or 2-3 color stitching that I'm not having to change my threads all the time. And I am stitching this on a 32 count Belfast linen in Tycho by Picture This Plus, and I'm using 2 DMC colors, 2/2. I got a total of 1,964 stitches in this over the last 9 days, and I am now up to 72.4% done with this piece. So here it is in all of its glory. I am a typical guy. I do not break out an iron unless it is an absolute emergency. So I will not be ironing things until they go to the framers. That's just how I roll. I'm a typical guy with ironing and packing and throw everything in a bag and just make it work. But here we are so far. So I started this in May of 2021, which is the year that this stitch along started. And I am now, after working on this for over 4 years, I am at 72.4%. Now I did work mostly in this area. So I filled in a lot of this relief work here. And I just had started working in this section this morning a little bit. But yeah, as you can see, I've stitched in my first initial, S for Steve. And then over here, I did A for my partner, Andy. I did not do my last initial. I figured because these initials were around a blue house that somewhat mimics our blue house. We have a 4-square house and nothing fancy about it. It's old, but we did re-side it several years ago. It had the old asbestos tiling and we did put a dark blue siding over it. We've done a decent amount of work over the last 13 years on that house. On the outside, it doesn't look like it, but we have spent quite a decent amount of money between a roof and siding and gutters, and we need to spend a little more time and money on the inside, but we need to get that disposable income to be able to do that. So Andy's working on remodeling our pantry. He's been working on that for about 2 months. He knew going in and warned me that he's the type of guy, he's got to get motivated, and it might just be one small thing today and then he might not do anything for, weeks. So our pantry is still in a bit of disarray, but he's repainted in there. He's hung up some pegboard so that he can hang up his pots and pans and gives him some more cabinet room, which is prime real estate in our kitchen. The kitchen is not small, but we do not have a lot of counter space or cabinets. So That was one of his workarounds. Excuse me. Coffee's catching up to me. And talking. I didn't do much this morning other than talk with Andy a little bit and ran to Walgreens. I did clean out some old clothes as I'm changing up my wardrobe. I needed to switch out from fall to summer because I haven't done that actually in about 2 years. I just kind of leave everything hanging up. Again, typical guy, or just lazy person. And so I did go through about a bunch of stuff that's too big for me now, or I haven't worn it in that 1 or 2 years. So I did donate like 2 garbage bags full of clothes to one of those clothing bins, and felt good to clear some of that out, make some headway there. All right, so as I was talking about, I did spin my wheel to tell you what was gonna be next up on my stitching docket for this week, and what it actually picked for me was Tree of Dreams. This is a Joy Sunday kit that I purchased and I have been working on, but I have just been dragging my feet, and I realized I really just don't want to stitch on this. I don't enjoy the pre-printed fabric. I don't enjoy the symbols on the fabric not matching the symbols on the chart. The chart is very small. So I am going to offer this up as a giveaway to you all. So essentially this is going to be Adopt a Whip. This is a Tree of Dreams. I'll show you the front here. I've inserted a picture probably. So this is what Tree of Dreams looks like. It's got all of the colors on the back for the chart. Now I will say, I will just flash up this portion of the chart. I have been marking out the chart in black marker. So you are gonna get that already blacked out what I've stitched. Just letting you know, I did not make a working copy. I was just using a fine tip black marker to color out each square as I went, which is part of the hassle because that takes a decent amount of time to stop, color in three, and that's why I don't like paper patterns to begin with. It goes much easier for me working off of Pattern Keeper. So you will get my working actual pattern. You will get all of the threads, which most of them are cut so you can just pull off. This is extras of some of the main colors. And you got more here. And then you will get the canvas. Now it is living in this project bag. I am not giving this Little Boat 88 project bag away. But I did want to just show it to you. It's my only project bag. I'm actually gonna leave it here because our shop assistant, Sue, is a bag maker as well, and she was wanting to get into making some cross-stitch bags for the store here, and so she wanted some ideas of what I like, what are the approximate sizes, so I'm gonna show her. This is the only one that I've bought. But you will get the actual pre-printed canvas as well. Here's the whole thing. And in fact, I'm gonna throw in this tree needle minder with it. So I've just started in this corner. I will show you my back. My back is a hot mess, just know that. But if this sounds like fun or a good challenge for you, or you wanna try out this pre-printed, pre-counted fabric, leave a comment down below. So I'm gonna ask you not to use a specific word. I will just pull it. If you didn't answer the prompt, I will consider that you do not want to be entered for this. But the prompt for this is, since this is the Tree of Dreams chart, I want to know, what is a dream you have for your future? As things are very uncertain in these times, I want to focus on the positive. So what's a dream that you have for your future? It could be something around your house. It could be hobby related. It could be travel related. It could be something related to education or your family. I don't really care, but what's a dream that you have for your future? Let me know that in the comments below, and that will enter you to win this whip that I am passing on to another good home. And I will ship anywhere in the world. And please do not use the word giveaway, free, you know, all that stuff. And please be over 18 so that you can give me your address legally and I can ship it to you. That's the pretty much normal stuff. I would ask that you are a subscriber and that you like this video so that we can try to boost some numbers. But other than that, yeah, I decided life's too short. This is gonna take way too long. I don't enjoy stitching on this. I would enjoy stitching on a blank piece of fabric before this pre-printed. Honestly, for me, it's just meh. So I am going to stick these back in the bag to go home. And actually it's not gonna go home. It's gonna live here since I ship from here. I will put that in a different bag to be able to be mailed to you. And yeah, leave me a comment down below. All right, let's talk about a few Flosstubers that I enjoy that I randomly scrolled and picked. The first one I did not randomly scroll because I found her yesterday and I watched her mid-year long dog sampler whip parade. That was just a whip parade for her long dog samplers, which is, I think she's got 14 going, is gonna start another 14 or 16 next year. And she's finished like between 4 and 8 she showed off. I don't know how she stitches so much, and that's not all of her whips on top of, you know, working, running her household and making project bags and different things and selling needlework tools. And I'm still learning about her. She's based out of the UK, and that is Crafty Emily. I'm sure a ton of you know about her, but her little tile on YouTube for her whip parade caught me in. And I think my happy place is really gonna be like monochromatic stitching is really gonna be my happy place where I don't have to change threads all the time. Loved stitching on the Fruits of Plenty this week because it was only 2 colors. I could finish out my threads, and I cannot wait to start the one long dog sampler that I have kitted up. I do have some long dog sampler patterns waiting to be entered into our system that I purchased for the shop. I also have, I bought the Rainbow Band sampler full cross stitch version, as well as some Dinky Dyes silk packs for that Rainbow Band sampler. That might be something that I still want to kit up for myself. We'll see. But yeah, so Crafty Emily, really just, I was almost getting stressed thinking about how much she stitches and the color play she does and what I would just make a monochromatic piece. She is doing rainbow full on like gradient effects on her pieces, and they're absolutely stunning. So if you just want to be blown away by amazing stitching and color play, go watch Crafty Emily. The next Flosstuber I would like to mention is Kenny Stitches. That is Kenny. I've heard him talked about on several other Flosstubes. I've recently started watching him in the past couple of months, and I believe he's based out of Indiana. I could be wrong. He did talk about a needlework shop in Zionsville that I don't think was extremely local, but we are actually going to Zionsville to the yarn store to do a trunk show there in November. So I'm hoping I can hit up the cross stitch store while we're in town. But Kenny stitches anything and everything. Not everything is stuff that I'm gonna stitch myself, but I enjoy seeing his take from color or fabric choice to the variety of stitches that he does, and his positive attitude. I think Kenny's an amazing Flosstuber, so I highly recommend him. Tons of projects there as well. I love watching people with tons of projects because I get inspired. It keeps me entertained. You will never see like a ton. I'll slowly be increasing my projects, but I have to do it at a ratio that does not give me a ton of anxiety. The last Flosstuber has been around for forever. I think she was one of the first Flosstubers. She was one of the first ones that I have followed and I've been following for years, and that is Jessie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff. I remember she was talked about on a knitting podcast that's no longer being produced. When I first started getting into cross stitch, it was the Yarnivore podcast. That was Sadie, who has been all over. She was in Canada, I think just moved. And she was getting into Mirabilia, and I was like, oh, what's this cross stitching thing? It sounds really cool. Even though I don't think I want to do fancy ladies, it was very intriguing to me. And she had mentioned Jessie Marie, and I started watching her years ago. She is the one who puts on WhipGo every month. Not something that I'm ready to take on at this point. But Jessie she treats stitching like it's her job, but also has to have enjoyment out of it. And if she doesn't get enjoyment out of it, she changes her plans. But she comes up with these elaborate plans to be able to hit milestones and make progress on her projects and finish things. And I admire that. I have to realize what works for me doesn't work for, and what works for other people doesn't necessarily work for me. But I love seeing other people's ways of managing their crafting and how they organize it. So definitely check out Jessie Marie Does Stuff, Kenny Stitches, and Crafty Emily if you get some time. Again, if you have a floss tube or you have some must-see floss tubers especially, I do love seeing full coverage stitching, but like monochromatic, long dog, pattern keeper stitchers. I would love to be enabled with more patterns that I can easily put into Pattern Keeper. Now, I know people have said I have downloaded my long dog sampler into Pattern Keeper, but I have not checked to make sure that it is all correct. Still learning how to do all that, and I know people have said there's been some issues. I think I did it all at the beginning, but I ain't real sure. So before I get started, I'm gonna have to double check that. Haul. I do not have any haul. I've been good. I haven't gotten anything. But we did get some new stuff in the shop. So the first thing I want to talk to you about are some cross-stitch kits from Junebug and Darlin. I don't know if I mentioned these last time. I don't have them on my notes. So I just wanted to show you a few of the kits that we got from Junebug and Darlin. They are based out of Portland, Oregon, and I had the pleasure of meeting them in Rosemont, Illinois at the H&H convention, which is a big industry wholesaler event that's held in May. And so I ordered an array of kits from them. And so I brought over 5 of them to show you today. These are all beautiful patterns, instructions. Packaging is all eco-friendly, locally sourced. She does an amazing job. And so the first one I'm going to show you here is Safe Space. You can see it's packaged like this. It has a difficulty level on the back as well as everything that is included. And I did get quite a few of these. I got like 5 of these because I knew I wanted one stitched up as a sample. And one of our studio assistants, Mary, who is a wonderful human being. Hi, Mary. She watches. I will post it on like Monday night, and she comes into work on Tuesday going, I watched your Flosstube. Even though she gets to see my project every week. I bring it in to show on Wednesday mornings to show my progress. But Mary is such a sweetheart. She stitched this up in no time. She even fully finished it according to the kit. So it comes with this felt, and she whip stitched it to the back. And it's framed in the hoop, and usually it's sitting on the little frame Mary brought there on the mantle. So that's the first kit. This one is $30. It's not too bad, but all small business. Next one is Bibliophilia. This is a little book one. It's in an oval hoop. That one's $40. We have Moths. This one's $35. And all of these are going to be on Ada. These are great for getting into cross stitch. So if you are watching this from my Dramatic Knits podcast and you've just been kind of intrigued with this cross stitch journey, these would be a great one. Most of these, like the Moths, are a 3 level of difficulty because you've got some back stitch in there and maybe some color changes. The Books is going to be a 2. This one is Flowerette. This is a 1. This one's $35. And then this one is $45. This is a level 3, and this is Forget-Me-Nots. And this has some back stitching and probably some French knots in there, I think. So highly recommend these kits. They've been going very well in the store. I'd love to see a few more of them move so that we can potentially order more in the future. Just budgeting and finances and all that fun small business stuff that you have to worry about. But anyway, and then while at H&H too, our friend Jen of Wild Stitchers, they do a huge array of not only knitting and crochet, but fiber processing and now needlework tools and accessories. And so I ordered a couple of tools and accessories from Jen of Wild Stitchers. The first one is a floss organizer. So this is a wood floss organizer that has 13, I think, holes on it, with the little cross-stitched heart on there. That's the design that I chose to put in the center. I was gonna put our logo, but that was more money, and I was trying to be relatively frugal. So the cross-stitched heart, and you can hang this, easily on like the side of, your crafting cart, or you can hang this even on if you have a thick enough needle minder and your project is big enough. You could do that as well. Along those same lines, we did get some very nice needle minders from her. By the way, the floss organizer, if you're interested, is 15. The needle minders are 12. These are very big magnet backed. These would be easily hold scissors as well. They are thick. The front magnet is encased in between 2 layers of lasered wood, and then you got the big magnet in the back with the stitched heart on top. I'm not a needle minder snob. I use that tree one that I'm going to be giving away. Now I have a flat just star one that I got, I think, as a gift or a freebie, but I like the flat needle minders because sometimes the round ones sometimes can be easier to get the needle off of quickly without really looking, but I tend to flip my work over and then lay my needle on it from the back when I'm done weaving in my end, and the flat one will easily grab it without seeing where the needle minder is. So I like a flat needle minder. So we got some needle minders, some floss organizers, and then we got some floss drops. So these I don't have in the system yet, but they will be up probably by the time you see this video, if not in the next day or two. This is a set of teardrop clear acrylic floss drops. I just went with clear to begin with. You get a set of 18 of these, and what's great is you've got the main floss drop hole, and then you have like your working thread to the side, which is something that I really like. And it does come on one of those like bike lock cords. So you get 18 of those for, these will be 12. Great deal. And then I saw several of these from a couple different vendors, and I went with Jen because she's a friend of ours and I wanted to support her. But these are stitchable floss drops. So these are rectangular, and you have your main thread hole as well as your working thread hole, but you do have a small stitchable area at the top. And so these are really great for over-dyed or hand-dyed flosses with variegation that you want to see how they're going to stitch up. You can stitch up a swatch of it and keep it on this floss drop so that you can just keep that hand-dyed floss on this floss drop, and you will know what it stitches up. So you can do kind of full crosses. You can go in different directions to see how you want to stitch it. It's completely up to you. Now, you do only get 5 floss drops on here with the stitchable. They are $12 as well, but these are, I thought these were really neat to be able to have a little swatch of your floss on your floss drop to know what it's going to stitch like, especially if you are doing color conversions or substituting your own colors. So those are the new items that we have available online. I will have them linked in the show notes down below at leadingmenfiberarts.com. I thank you so much for checking out this month's Flosstube. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I read all of them. I like all of them, and I try to answer all the ones that are needing an answer or a thank you. And as always, I will have our online shop, Leading Men Fiber Arts, linked down below. Check us out for anything from, of course, our wonderfully hand-dyed yarns, but as well as a full fiber art shop with everything from tools and accessories to kits, project bags, kits for knitting, crochet, rug hooking, cross stitch. We even have a couple of embroidery and needle felting kits. So we have things all over the gamut. Check out the website. And if you like what you see and you want to support us a little bit more, we do have our Patreon link down below. Our Patreon subscribers help us to raise funds for continued maintenance and improvements here on the historic Taylor McGill building, which is now owned by Leading Men Fiber Arts here in Clinton, Illinois. And every little bit helps to help us maintain the building, which is not cheap, not as cheap as we thought it was going to be, as well as to potentially save to do some larger projects in the future. We would love to get the word out. Please share our Patreon with any of all of your fiber friends. Please share our Flosstube and podcast and website, of course, with all your friends and spread the word. We greatly appreciate it. Our business has grown so far in the last 13 years, and almost all of that has been word of mouth and great customer service behind a great product is what we try to do. So thank you again for tuning in, and until I see you next month, I hope you have a wonderful month of stitching, crafting, and making.